In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use the Sketch Artist Photoshop action to create a highly detailed pencil drawn sketch effect. Sketch Artist produces multiple layers with lots of color options and lots of customization possibilities. There will be many layers that can be modified, adjusted to create the results that you need or like the most. The action itself works on an original image, which is this one, and over the image you brush an area which represents the subject. It will be this layer called brush, and this layer called brush contains a brushed area of the subject on which the action works and produces the effects shown. Okay, in order to use the action, we will of course have to have a JPG file. I'm gonna delete everything except the image. When you open a JPG file in Photoshop, it will have a locked background layer. This name will be necessary for the action, so make sure your image is on a layer called background. The image will need to be of an appropriate size, that is over 3000 pixels in width or height. In this case the image is bigger. It is 7000 pixels in width, but you may find it too big. Actually it's not, because the subject is rather small compared to the width and height of the image. So the subject will probably be around 3000 pixels in height. The image will also have to be in RGB mode and on 8 bits per channel. Okay, now we will have to load the action from the actions panel, which if it's not visible in your Photoshop, you'll have to go to Window and make sure the actions panel is toggled on. And in the actions panel we will load the Sketch Artist action by going on this little button, selecting load actions, and select the Sketch Artist Photoshop action. Load. Now we have the action available. This is an action folder, and this is the single action contained. The Sketch Artist action. Besides that, we will have to load the pencil brushes that the action uses. So we'll go to the brush tool, toggle the brush panel, and on this little button, no, sorry, not this one, this one, click on load brushes and select the Sketch Artist brushes. Okay, now we can close the panel. There is another way you can load a brush. With the brush tool, select it, click on this small button and this one and load brushes. It's the same thing. And now that we have the brushes available and the action available, we will have to mark our subject on the photo. So I will create a new layer and call this layer brush. Notice the capital B. The capital B is required for the action. Okay. And on this layer, using a Photoshop brush, a round brush, which comes with Photoshop, maybe with a red color to be more visible, we will have to, of course, mark our subject. This sometimes can be a bit bothering, especially if there are many small parts of the subject, and the better you mark your subject, the better the result will be. So it will take a bit of time to mark your image depending on your subject shape complexity. So you can do this. This is one technique, or you can do something else. I will select all and delete to delete what I brushed, because this image has a background of similar colors. I will select the background layer, and using this tool, the magic wand tool, I will select the background colors, and again with shift or option, okay, and now I have selected everything in the background except the subject. There is a small part here. Okay. And now what I can do is select inverse. Now I will go to the brush layer to select it, and using the paint bucket tool, I will paint the subject. And now click on deselect. There are some small parts which were not okay with the selection. I can use the brush here. or I could just leave them like that. It's not very important. Okay. There are some areas here. I will delete everything except the center square. Okay, and now we have everything ready to run the action. You can leave the brush layer on or off, it doesn't matter. With the sketch artist action selected, I will click on play. And now the action is working. It is producing multiple layers. It is producing a background paper texture. It is generating the pencil effects, which are located in multiple layers. There are also inside lines in the subject. And 12 color options that you can enable for a distinct color effect. Okay. And we have a result. I must say to you that every result the action produces is unique. So while the subject contour remains the same, the pencil will be placed, the pencil brushes will be placed and positioned slightly different every time. So if you click play again, the action will work. It doesn't matter there is a result created right now. It will create a new result over this one. It will not interfere with the previous result. And you will notice that the pencil lines will be placed different in different positions. Okay. As you can see, all the groups containing layers, all the groups of the action are opened, and we can see all the layers created. We can hide some of the groups, we can hide the colors, because I will explain them a bit later. Okay, so starting from the bottom layer, we have a background color layer, which you can adjust to change the color of the background. The default one is a slight yellow tint. Besides that, there is the background texture layer, which is a smart layer and contains two editable smart filters, a Gaussian blur and a motion blur. You can adjust these filters to adjust the way the texture appears and the motion blur, and see the result. Okay. The next layer is hidden, as you can see. It's not turned on. If we turn it on, you see there is a messy collection of pencil lines. That can bring more effect to your image. You decide what is better for your image. There are three layers called subject, secondary fill, and subject third fill. I will leave only the first one visible. As you can see, the subject secondary fill is and can be used to provide more fill, more pencil lines, strokes inside the subject, and the third fill can be used to provide even more strokes inside the subject. Or you can disable the first one and leave only the first and the second and third enabled to have the effect that you like. Okay, the subject layer has a color option available, the subject intense color, which enabled can boost the color saturation of the image, giving it more of a cartoon effect. You can of course adjust the intensity from no saturation at all on the subject layer to highly saturated look. Okay, this is the default look. Besides that, there is a subject hue saturation adjustment, which you can use it to provide a distinct color for the entire subject. There is this group called subject brush mask to hide subject. This group contains all the subject elements and it has a white mask. If you select this mask and brush it with a round brush, a soft round brush, which has to be black, so the foreground will have to be black, not other color but black. If you brush this mask, you can hide a part of the subject. So if we brush on this foot, you can hide the foot and show only the effect. Or maybe on this hand. Or whatever part you may like. The decision is yours. Okay. But let's say we don't want to do this. I will select all and delete on this brush layer. We have 5 outer strokes, which are responsible for the pencil lines around the contour of the subject. They can be toggled on or off to show the result as you want it. They also have color options, so you can enable the stroke color fill effect on each layer, and you can put a custom color that you want, maybe red. We'll leave it off for now. Okay. There are some inside lines over the subject, and they create this effect of inside strokes of pencil over parts of the subject. They too have color options available that you can adjust and put whatever color you may want. As you see, these are smart layers. They have 2 smart filters, wave and color pencil. If you disable the color pencil by clicking on this little eye icon, the effect will be more pronounced than with it on. You can also hide part of the lines from the subject, because this group that contains the lines also has a white mask, so we can brush it with a black brush in order to hide part of the lines. Notice how the lines are hidden. You can do this for the face of the subject if you want the face to be unaffected by lines. This can be good for the eyes of the subject or mouth if you don't want the expression to be covered in pencil effects. Also, there is this layer, brush mask to reveal subject. It has a black mask which I've just selected. This mask can be brushed with a white color, a white foreground color, and if you brush this mask, let's say over the face, it will reveal the subject in its original state. So you can brush a part of the subject that you want to be totally unaffected by the effects. In this case, I just brushed the face. Sorry. This is what the action originally produced. You can leave it like this, or maybe you want the face to be totally visible and unaffected. Also, there is this layer called subject intensifier. It has a high pass smart filter because the layer is a smart layer. The high pass filter can be adjusted to add more intensity and more like of HDR effect on the image. If the radius is big, the effect will look more like HDR effect. If the radius is small, it will only add a bit of sharpness. I will leave it like this and toggle it off to see with and without. It's a bit of sharpness which may come very needed for your effect. And finally we have the color options group, which contains 3 main adjustments that you can use for the entire image. The color tint, to provide a general tint of the color. and the general saturation. If you want to have it in black and white. And also there are the 12 color presets. You can enable each folder one by one. To give the image a distinct color look. Some of them replicate cross-processing. Okay. This is it. These are all the layers of the action. Hope you enjoy this action, the sketch artist, and I wish you the best results. Thank you very much for watching my tutorial.